Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to I'm Not Repeating Myself podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and I hope you heard what I said the first time because I'm not repeating myself. Glad everybody could be with me on this good Monday. Fall weather is officially here. It's getting a little bit more, crispy outside, a little nippier in the mornings. Hope everybody had a great weekend, man. I definitely did. I definitely had a good weekend. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe on SoundCloud, Apple, and Spotify, and of course on YouTube. I'm on TikTok at I'm Not Repeating Myself Pod, and I'm also on Instagram at I'm Not Repeating Myself Pod. So last week when I started off the show, I spoke about patience and how important patience is. And this week I wanted to start off talking about consistency. So consistency, is one of the biggest components in life. Every day in your everyday walk of life, you see some level of consistency. Whether it be good, whether it be bad, you always see it. And I wanted to speak about consistency because it's really the make or break of anything. It literally is the make or break of anything. When you look at a lot of the greats, whether it be in entertainment, sports, you know, actors, all that, the whole nine, the number one component, creators, the number one component they always speak about is consistency. You can have all the talent, you can have all the upside, you can have all the potential. But if you're not working at your craft and doing what you're supposed to do to excel it and make it become great, you won't be nothing. There's a lot of people be like, oh yeah, that person could have been better than Jordan, or that person could have been better than Denzel, or that person could have been better than Cosnot, or or Kevin Hart, or but where did they fall off at? Most likely it was consistency. And last week I was sitting there thinking about, because throughout my journey, I know the number one thing I had to be on top of was consistency. And also, when you're consistent, appreciate it as well. Sometimes you can get caught up in the results and not appreciating the fact that you are just showing up every single fucking day. And as long as you're showing up every single fucking day, you're going to be all right. Ultimately, you're going to be all right. Now, you do have to, of course, incorporate quality and, you know, where to clean up in certain areas. But as long as you're putting up the shots and whatever it is that you're chasing, you are going to be fine. It's really no, it's no, it's it's no special way to go about doing it. That really is just it. It really is just consistency. I could be scrolling on Instagram because I follow a lot of just insightful posts, and a lot of the reels that I follow are insightful and motivational and all that. And it always goes back to consistency. Always goes back to consistency. You don't need motivation a lot of times. You just lazy. I don't rely on motivation. I rely on habits. When you make consistency your habit, you won't have to worry about needing motivation. Oh, I'm feeling uninspired today. No, bro, just get up and get busy. Just get up and get busy. You know what you're supposed to do. 9 times out of 10, people know what they're supposed to do. And yes, you're gonna have some days where it's like, nah, dog, dog, I ain't feeling it today. But as long as you show up, that adds you're adding brick to what you're pursuing. You're just adding another layer to it. You're just adding to the portfolio. You're just adding to it. So most of the times you don't need motivation. You just got to go out there and do it. Don't become lazy. Lazy is the biggest enemy to consistency. Laziness is the biggest enemy to consistency. I always throughout my whole life, when I was watching anything, whether it be rappers, singers, entertainers, sports, the whole nine. And most of the time, when somebody wasn't performing or doing what they're supposed to do to a certain level, it was due to the lack of consistency. That's all. That's all it really was. There's really no tricks. You don't got to be the fastest, the strongest. A lot of the times, I see a lot of players who just first round draft pick. Oh, he's 6'4". He run 4'3", and all is a basketball player. Oh, he's 6'7", got a elite handle, can jump out the gym, and then they fall off because they're just relying on the talent and not relying on the work and staying consistent in the gym. You don't got to be the fastest, strongest, jump 50 inches in the air. No, all you gotta do is just put in the work. You can stay in the league 10 plus years if you're just consistent. Of course, you gotta have some skill, and of course, you go in the gym, but that's the early mornings. That's getting up, going to the gym, putting up shots. That's getting in the gym, lifting when you don't feel like it. You don't gotta be built like the prototype. But as long as you're showing up, you're gonna be all right. Same thing if you're a creator. I see a lot of creators, they get so caught up in, the performance of whatever clips they posting. Bro, don't worry about the performance. Just continue to put up shots. Reevaluate what you're supposed to do. Take constructive criticism. But don't let, oh man, this clip didn't do it, so I'm done. No, bro, keep going. Everything is not gonna be a banger. And a lot of times, especially in the era today, we get so caught up in, I need satisfaction right now. You're not going to get satisfaction right now. That's not how the world works. You're not going to get it. And even let's say hypothetically speaking, you do hit out the gate, you still have to keep going. You don't have nothing to fall back on. So even if you hit early, you have to keep on working. You got to still put up shots, because your work is far from done. So, you put up a post, or, oh yeah, this shit did 10K, and oh yeah, I'm Gucci. Then the next one you put up, it might only do 100 views, 10 likes, 5 likes. What you gonna do? You gonna sold? No, you gotta continue to get busy. That's the way of the world. That's how the shit go. Don't get discouraged because you're not getting immediate satisfaction. Don't get to, take pride in being consistent. When you get to a point where you're just posting, or you're just doing what you're doing, and really not worrying about the outcome, that's how you know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I get up, it's been 24 straight weeks now. I get up and I do this shit for 24 straight weeks now. I'm posting damn near every day. At the minimum, probably 3-4 times out the week. At the minimum, 3-4 times out the week. I'm staying in front of people. I'm staying on the feed. I'm putting out quality content as well, but ultimately, I'm staying consistent, because you're not going to get nowhere without it. And then when you get there, who's to say you're going to stay there? Because in my opinion, once you reach your destination, it's more pressure on you to perform even more then. It's more pressure, not pressure oh my God, no, I'm just talking about in terms of, okay, you've been talking about this, you've been speaking about doing this, now you're here now, what are you going to do to maintain it and stay here? But as long as your foundation is consistency, you're going to be all right, man. So that's really what I wanted to start off with today. And, give yourself a little grace too. There's been times I had to sit back and I'd be like, it's happened to me. I'm not perfect. It's been times throughout my journey I've been like, damn, bro, what the fuck is going on? I feel like this shit should be further along. What we got going on? But you just sit back, give yourself a little grace. Evaluate yourself too. Check yourself in the mirror. There's nothing wrong with checking yourself and checking the boxes of what you need to do. There were signs I had to sit back and be like, yeah, I could have did more. Honestly, I could have did more. And I think throughout my life, that has kind of been one of the things that kind of stood out to me. I was never the student that teacher said, Mike don't got potential. Michael don't got potential. The most common thing that teachers would tell my mom or my dad was, Michael, he gets complacent. He gets complacent. First half of the year, I be wrecking shit, killing shit. Back end, I'm kind of chilling, kicking my feet up. Oh, this cool. Nah, you can't do that. You can't do that. So for me, it was always just being complacent. And even throughout my podcast journey, yeah, I sat back and I realized that at certain times, yeah, I could have did more. But I know when you put 100% into something, the reward is gonna be beautiful. Probably even better than what you expected. So as long as you're staying consistent, bro, you're gonna be all right. That's all it is. You're going to be all right. So I just wanted to leave y'all off with that, because I know a lot of the times, especially in this era, we get caught up in, especially with comparison. Comparison is also an enemy of consistency too, because you could see somebody else doing something. You feel like, damn, they just started. I've been doing this. They further along and da-da-da-da-da. Bro, everybody's path is different. Everybody's path is different. Just because they got across a bridge this way don't mean you going to get across a bridge that same way. You getting across a bridge might be another mode of transportation or another method. Everybody's timeline is different. You can't get caught up in the comparison, because it's just gonna derail your mission. That's all it's gonna do. Laziness and comparison are the biggest enemies of consistency. Because once those start to creep up in your mind, you're gonna stop doing what you're supposed to be doing, and then you're gonna be looking back 5, 10 years from now, like, damn, I should have. You don't get your time back. You do not get your time back. So you got to keep your head down, keep going, and you're gonna be all right, man. You're gonna be all right. So moving on. So we had to speak about it, man. It's I don't like starting the show off like this, but I gotta say R.I.P. to a legend, man. R.I.P. D'Angelo, legendary R&B singer, passed away at 51 years old due to pancreatic cancer. He kind of didn't even know he was going through this battle, but I understand a lot of the times, especially celebrities, they don't like to, put out anything that they're going through, and you find out the day of that they was going through this battle this whole time. So I want to say R.I.P. to D'Angelo, man, and definitely one of my favorite R&B artists growing up as a kid, man. My mom played his music consistently, and it really puts in perspective to what I was just speaking about, like being speaking back on consistency again, because throughout his career, he was one of the names that always stayed in people's head due to his impact. His catalog was just it was amazing. It was amazing, man. And he kind of birthed neo soul as well. And for him to be gone at 51 years old, man, you really got to sit back and think, like, yeah, man, life is precious. Life is precious. Health is wealth. I always preach about health. I always speak about getting in the gym, getting your checkups, doing what you're supposed to be doing. Even myself, I can get a little bit more better as far as frequent, check-ins with my doctor and shit like that. I go on a year to 2 year basis, but I could probably go, a little bit sooner than normal, just because you just never know. You just never know. You don't got to be freaked out or nothing like that, but just make sure you're on top of everything. But ultimately, man, that's what I always preach about: staying in the gym, staying on top of your health, man. A lot of this stuff that we see people go through can be self-inflicted. Not saying that this, of course, was self-inflicted, because it wasn't. Because cancer is a bitch, man. Cancer is a bitch. But just sitting back thinking about it just made me think about, especially us as black men. Us as black men, we gotta be on top of our health, man, because we checking out early. I've spoken about this before. I know people who going through serious health problems in their 30s. In their 30s, bro. That's like you barely tapping into your life. For real. I always say, like, you're not really, you spend more of your time as a child than you do as an adult in your 20s and your early 30s. If you really think about it, like, you're a child for about 17 years, 17, 18 years. Okay, let's double that. You add 17 years to that, bro, that's 34. So while you stressing in your 20s and your early 30s, you got to realize you've been a kid more than you've been an adult. Like, really, really think about that, man. Really think about it. So don't put too much stress on yourself, but also at the same time too, be aware. You have to be aware of what's going on, man. So I just want to say R.I.P. to D'Angelo. You know, condolences to his son as well, because that has to be a lot on him. A son losing their mother and their father in the same year at that young of a Angie Stone, she passed away earlier this year at 63. Now you have D'Angelo in October passing away at 51. And he had a quiet battle. You know what I'm saying? I understand it. Again, I know a lot of times a lot of people don't like to put out what they're going through. But man, his journey was like, I mean, he kicked down the doors. He kicked down the doors early with Brown Sugar. He was 23, 24 years old when Brown Sugar came out. Hit after hit on there. And it's still like all his whole catalog is timeless. His whole catalog is timeless. From Brown Sugar to Voodoo. I know he dropped the album in 2014 after he took a little hiatus, which I'm gonna speak about a little bit in a second. But man, out the gates, you could just tell that, man, this brother, he was put here to do music. Certain people you just look at and they was created to add to the earth in a certain way. And when I not always say this, when I hear singers, I know specifically they was made to sing, because everybody can't sing. That's a God-given talent. And when you combine your singing talent with just creating beautiful music, bro, this him being here was by design. And that goes for others, all the other greats that we have lost, Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson. Like, he's in that group of people who, God created him and like, I'm putting you here on this earth to be to add to the earth as far as music, because music is medicine. I say it all the time. Music is medicine. I don't know where the world would be at without music, man. Music is truly healing, man. I wanted to go over. I came across this article by Complex that spoke about his top 20 songs that he made throughout his career. I'm gonna go through this top 20 list. So at 20, you got D'Angelo featuring Method Man and Redman Left Right, dope record. Next up, you got at 19 D'Angelo and the Vanguard, the Charade from his 2014 album Black Messiah. Shit Damn Motherfucker at 18 off Brown Sugar. 17, I Found My Smile Again. 16, you got Me and Those Dreaming Eyes of Mine. 15, Chicken Grease off Voodoo. 14, Raphael Sadiq featuring D'Angelo Be Here 2002. And also shout out to Raphael Sadiq too. I given him his roses on this platform before, but another great musician, man. Like, he's definitely a legend, a pillar when it comes to R&B music. 13, D'Angelo and the Vanguard, Till It's Done, all Black Messiah. Number 12, One More Gin from Voodoo. Number 11, Cruising. That's probably my top 3 D'Angelo record. Number 10, D'Angelo and the Vanguard, Really Love 2014, All Black Messiah. Number 9, Send It On 2000, Voodoo, Goes Without Saying. Number 8, Africa from Voodoo. Number 7, Spanish Joint. Number 6, The Root. Number 5, Lauryn Hill featuring D'Angelo, Nothing Even Matters. Classic record, beautiful record. Number 4, Lady. I probably would have that as my number 1 or number 2. Number 3, Devil's Pie off the soundtrack Belly. Number 2, Brown Sugar, of course. And number 1, Untitled, How Does It Feel? I get it, because when How Does It Feel first came out, that was a record that, took by storm just off the video alone. The women love that video. But what's so funny is because How Does It Feel is really a song about weed. Like, of course, when you look at the video, he's shirtless and all that. He's singing. So I guess people are connecting a sexual connotation when it comes to that record. But that song is really about weed. So when you go really listen to the record and go read the lyrics, yeah. But that was, from a marketing standpoint, that was genius. But just to repeat the top, just round out the top 5, you got D'Angelo with Lauryn Hill, Nothing Even Matters. 4, Lady. Number 3, Devil's Pie. Number 2, Brown Sugar. Number 1, How Does It Feel? My number 1 D'Angelo record will probably be Lady. Number 2 would probably be Cruising. Number 3 probably be Brown Sugar. Number 4 would probably be Send It On. And number 5, I would probably have. Let me think. I probably put Shit Damn Motherfucker up there. I probably put that at number 5. So again, yeah, my top 5 D'Angelo records, I probably would have to say number 1. Number 1 would probably be, let me think about this again real quick. Yeah, so number 1, I'm gonna go Lady. Number 2, I'm gonna go Cruising. Number 3, I'm gonna go Brown Sugar. Number 4. This is kind of tough, man. This is kind of tough. Man. This is really hard. All right. I got it for real this time. So number one, I'm gonna go Lady. Number 2, I'm gonna go. Yeah, number 1, I'm gonna go Lady. Number 2, I'm gonna go Cruising. Number 3, I'm gonna go Brown Sugar. Number 4, I'm gonna go Send It On. And number 5, I'm gonna go Shit Damn Motherfucker. That's what I'm gonna go for my top 5 D'Angelo records. And one of the most underrated D'Angelo records, I would say, is with Method Man with Breakups to Makeup. That's a very underrated record. I play that record a lot. So salute to Method Man and D'Angelo for that collaboration. I'm surprised it actually didn't make the list. I know he got a couple of features on here, But that should have definitely made the list. That's a fire. That's a fire record. If people never heard it, go check that out. But and he was very pivotal around that time too, when you had rap and R&B collabs. When you had rap and R&B collabs, he was one of the people that you would call up to do a record. So man, salute to D'Angelo, man. And also, just speaking about his hiatus, one of the hiatus he had, part of his hiatus was because, he had writer's block. And I remember he spoke about writer's block and also the performative aspect, when he said, you got to think, so when How Does It Feel first came out, and the video just took the world by, I mean, it was, it was going viral before it was viral. One of the things that said that impacted him was when he would go perform, women would just be like, take your shirt off, take your shirt off. But that's not who he was. He wasn't a stripper. He really was an artist. So that kind of impacted him too. And it kind of, you know, he had a good physique. So, that kind of in turn, and also in combination with him having writer's block, that impacted him too. Like he kind of put on weight. He kind of lost his physique a little bit. And he kind of went on a hiatus, but that was kind of one of the things that stood out to me too, because men can also feel like, bro, like I'm being sexualized, and that's not really my thing. Like I'm here to sing. Granted, yeah, I did this video, my shirt is off, I'm selling it how it's supposed to sell, but if I'm on the stage singing my record, like, yeah, if the crowd is just telling me take your shirt off, it's kind of taken away from my artistry, and I'm not here for that. I'm here to perform and do what I love to do. So I wanted to point that out too, because that also played into how he, was gone for damn near almost 10 plus years as far as like creating. Yeah, like in the background, he was still kind of creating, but I kind of find it interesting that that was a part of why he was gone for the duration that he was gone for. So, again, man, nothing but positive things from D'Angelo, man. He wasn't problematic. He wasn't he never got caught up. He never got caught up in anything. And he was just a dude who loved music. And you could tell through, he really sat with his records. Anytime D'Angelo put something out, you could tell there was nothing rushed or nothing forced. If he was putting some music out, it was gonna bang. It was gonna bang. Like I want to read this quote also from moments in throughout his career, and some of the love that he got. Brown Sugar was mostly a solo endeavor. For the follow-up, D'Angelo went to Electric Lady and formed the Soulquarians, an Avengers-style team of some of the greatest musicians on the planet, from Questlove to Jay Dilla. The group spent years jamming. Also, let me read this. Experimenting was one thing, but after the success of Brown Sugar, D'Angelo faced another challenge: crippling writer's block. What helped him break through was the birth of his son, Michael Jr., with fellow R&B legend Angie Stone, and a newfound embrace of collaboration. I think the main thing about the whole neo soul thing, not to put it down or if it was a bad thing or anything, but you want to be in a position where you can grow as an artist. You never want to be told, hey, well, you're not doing what you did on Brown Sugar, because like right now, we're going someplace else. Like, damn, you're a neo soul artist. Why don't you do neo soul? I never claimed I do neo soul. I used to say when I first came out, I used to always say I do black music. I make black music. So even though he didn't, I spoke about that earlier. I think his manager coined the phrase. Excuse me, I keep saying frame. The phrase neo soul. He didn't want to be boxed in. And I think that's another component too, as creators and musicians. A lot of the times we've seen it with a lot of artists. They never want to be boxing into a particular lane and genre. I just do this. And for him to say, I do black music, I love making black music. That was profound with him. Also, just speaking about why, also in combination with the writer's block, I also wanted to read this quote, the world, this is a combination of, him feeling, overly sexualized. But the world most remembers is the video. It features a nearly naked D'Angelo staring into the camera as it pans out. The video catapulted him to a new level of fame. D'Angelo the Prodigy was now a sex symbol, a label he never felt comfortable with and tried to run away from. He quotes, sometimes, I feel uncomfortable to be on stage and trying to do your music and people going, take it off, because I'm not no stripper. I'm up here doing something I strongly believe in. So D'Angelo would struggle with the image from this video for years, gradually becoming more reclusive. For a time, his name only appeared in headlines due to legal troubles. He wouldn't release another album until 2014 when he dropped the politically charged Black Messiah. Yep. So, also in 2019, the documentary Devil's Pie was screened. It was revealed that he was working on an album. Raphael Sadiq last year mentioned he was working on music. It is unclear where that project stands. For now, all we have is a complex history of the most fascinating figure in R&B. So, yeah, man. Yeah, man. Salute to D'Angelo, man. His impact was felt. Definitely left a mark on music, period. Not just R&B, but black music, period. Definitely a legend, a staple. He will be missed because I heard about, and also I'm glad that we got a verses from him, man. I'm glad that we got a verse. There's a couple of legends that passed, after they did the verses, but I'm glad we was able to see them. I think he had his verses last year, and I don't think he went up against nobody. I think it was just him putting on a solo event. Also because we also got to see DMX perform before he passed. He did his verses with Snoop, so I'm glad that we was able to see D'Angelo at least perform over the last couple years before he was gone, man. And I'm glad that he was able to overcome his writer's block, him feeling overly sexualized with How Does It Feel video, and able to give us Black Messiah. So again, RP to D'Angelo, condolences to his family. His impact was felt. Classic after classic record, Lady, Brown Sugar, Cruising, you know, of course, Send It On, amazing record. It's collab with Lauryn Hill, Nothing Even Matters. Again, one of my favorite records from D'Angelo is a feature he had with Method Man. Breakups to Makeup, love that record. So I just want to say RP to him, condolences to him, and his music will live on for sure. His music will live on, man. So moving on, I wanted to talk about this also. So of course we've been seeing this influx of AI usage with this new app called Sora 2. So Sora 2 is this app that basically is just taking, AI to another super crazy level. I seen it with, they're taking, videos of, dead artists like Tupac, Biggie, Prince, even activists, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., and they're putting them in basically, and I seen a lot of the wrestling ones, they're putting them in wrestling. I seen MLK on a comedic stage, the whole nine. If you know exactly what I'm talking about, if you've been on the internet over the last couple weeks. So I wanted to speak about this because it's becoming definitely a big conversation. Also in combination of where it stands as far as using, AI with dead greats, especially our dead greats. You know what I'm saying? And of course, I'm one of the people who speaks highly of AI. I'm not one of the person that thinks, "Oh, AI is so terrible. We got to do away with it. There's no room for it." No, I think AI is a great, and we have to learn how to work with it instead of fighting against it. But with this Sora 2, I do feel like there needs to be a line, and the line is, granted, when we see these videos of Tupac and Biggie and MLK, we might get a good laugh here and there with some of it. But also we have to think about, their estates as well. The loved ones that are still alive. I do think there is room for us to use AI, especially if we're going to use them with, some of our past greats. But it all boils down to permission. You have to ask permission in terms of using, when it comes to this video AI, of using, Tupac, Michael Jackson, Prince, MLK, and any of the past greats that we have. As long as we're getting permission, I feel like there's room for it to be, entertaining and useful. And also in a space where they're doing what they was doing when they was here, not putting them in no wrestling ring or putting Martin Luther King on a comedic stage. I don't feel like it's because it's distasteful. It could be distasteful to the loved ones and the fans that love them. I also wanted to read a law. Well, not necessarily a law, because I want to do some research in terms of how laws impact this. So, when I asked ChatGPT about, laws against, AI and, the image, the likeness, the voice, yes, there are laws that can be, in some cases, protect a deceased person's likeness, voice, or persona, from unauthoritative use, including via AI generated videos. But it's very patchy, depends heavily on which state you're talking about, the type of use, commercial versus expressive, and the technology involved. Below is a summary of the major issues, limitations, and recent developments. What protections do exist? So the right of publicity, name, likeness, NIL, basically. Many U.S. states recognize a person's right of publicity, sometimes called NIL rights, which gives a person or their estate control over commercial use of their name, image, voice, likeness. Some states explicitly extend this right of publicity after death, a post-mortem right, so the estate or heirs can enforce rights after the person's death. So I do know MLK's daughter spoke out against that. She asked people to please stop using Sora too and using her father in that light. You know, she wasn't liking that at all. Not all states recognize postmortem rights though. Some states have a no statutory postmortem right of publicity of their case law extend. Whether a deceased person had commercial value at the time of death, their likeness later become value may limit applicability. The kind of right, many rights protect commercial use, but may not clearly cover expressive uses, art, commentary, parodies, or AI generated interactive use. So that's where it gets tricky. Because a lot of these are parodies. A lot of these are parodies, and that's where it kind of gets, like I said, when it gets patchy. Do I think there needs to be a law? Yes, but I think it just comes down to asking for permission. I do believe there needs to be some certain level of respect. I even seen an AI video of Tupac saying, "Hey, this Tupac checking in. Hey man, y'all stop using them AI videos of me doing things that I'm not doing while I was here, bro. Like y'all running out." He literally was saying this verbatim. So, granted, AI is great, technology is great, technology advances every single fucking day, but there still needs to be a line. I think the line is just a respect. It's just a respect thing. This all it boils down to really is just a certain level of respect. If you're gonna do a Sora 2 video of Tupac, it should be in taste in terms of what he was doing while he was here. Not putting him in the wrestling ring with Biggie, not putting him on a comedic stage or none of that type stuff. Like I think it's a fine line when it comes to stuff like that. So also just to add to my research that I did, if your question is there a law generally protecting dead icons from AI videos of them doing things not consistent with the character, the honest question is not fully. There are protection tools, post-mortem right or publicity in some states that could cover this scenario, especially if the use is commercial. But many states don't have a strong or clear law in place for AI digital replicative uses of deceased person's likeness. If the video is purely expressive, artistic, satirical, it may fall under the free speech protection and be harder to challenge. If the estate wants to enforce it, they'll want to check the state law whether the deceased was covered and whether the use is clearly covered by the state statute or case law. So yeah, even for the estate, they would have to go to state law levels to see how they could protect against their deceased ones going viral in an AI video. And like again, I feel like it can be a balance, man. If the estate approves, cool, do your thing. You have to I think you have to approach them with the concept though. Now a lot of us we can't get in contact with the estate because 9 times out of 10 these videos are made from a 12-year-old, 15-year-old in their basement, and that's where it gets tricky. I think you will really have to just have a law that enforces that, hey, if we catch you doing this video, you can be subject to fines, legal charges and stuff like that. I think that's how far you would have to go, and then you could kind of scale it back some. Because 9 times out of 10, people are disrespectful. They don't give a fuck. And if they don't have a law that they have to abide by, you will have things like this going on. So again, I do think there is room for AI to be useful and be entertaining, but at the same time too, if it's distasteful to the estate, then you have to have some laws put in place. But ultimately, again, I feel like as if just ask for permission. Just ask for permission. Don't be making an AI video of MLK and Biggie and Tupac, at WWE, WWF, don't have Prince and Michael Jackson in no wrestling ring and all this other type of stuff. But I do feel like there is room for both to coexist, basically. There's room for both of them to coexist. And just scale back on it. Ultimately, just scale back. It's nothing, especially when you have people from the estate saying, hey, bro, I'm not really feeling that. Respect their wishes. Just respect their wishes. So, again, I know I'm going to see more of it. I've been kind of filtering my timeline so I don't see it. Because I'm not really a fan of seeing them, doing the stuff that's not consistent with what they were doing while they was here. That's really what it boils down to. Them not doing things that's not consistent with what they were doing while they was here. So, again, I know, technology advances every single day. It advances every single day. But, y'all, there's a certain level of respect we can have, man. Just ask people for permission. And I think also on the flip side, too, there may come a time where a lot of these people may come in groups together to kind of fight this, because nobody wants to, remember someone who is known for, advancing the world like a Martin Luther King, but you open your phone and you see this man on a comedic stage, or you see him in a wrestling ring. That's insane, bro. That's insane. So again, we might get a good laugh out of a lot of this stuff, but ultimately it's not going to be funny to the loved ones of the deceased. So, moving on. I wanted to speak about the Buffalo Bills. Moving on to sports. I wanted to talk about the Buffalo Bills because they kind of been on a little slide lately, and they haven't been doing the best of, living up to the name and the projection that they have. And it's still early. They 4-2. They started off 4-0. They kind of hit a recent slide. And I wanted to speak about it because the way they're losing in the fashion is kind of alarming. And a lot of it has to do with their lack of production on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense also needs to be better too. But I wanted to speak specifically about the offensive side of the ball. So the Bills are coming off a 2-game slide. They lost to New England. That was kind of a shocking loss at home. And they just lost to Atlanta in the Monday night game 24-14. So I wanted to speak about their wide receiver core, because their wide receiver core was something that's they've been kind of skating by, I feel like, over the last couple years. A lot of the Bills' success has been done to the run game with James Cook and Josh Allen just making plays with what he has with his receiving core. But they really need a wide receiver one. Keon Coleman was supposed to be the guy, but Keon Coleman is not looking like the guy for the Bills. He has 24 catches for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. No. That's not going to cut it. Khalil Shakir, which I think he's a good wide receiver, but he's not a wide receiver one. He's more of a slot guy. He has 25 catches, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns. They need more production from their wide receivers. You got Dalton Kincaid at tight end. You got Dawson Knox at tight end. But they 100% need more consistency from the wide receiver position. Josh Allen also has to play better. He hasn't looked like the Josh Allen that I known him to be. Of course, he's my favorite quarterback. But he's kind of been on the slide too. He had a mediocre game versus the Bills, versus the Falcons. Ultimately, it wasn't to the Josh Allen that we known him to be. Just looking at, his last couple of games, he was he was 15-26 versus Atlanta, 180, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Versus New England, he was 22-31, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. So it wasn't completely bad, but he left a couple of plays out on the field. But his wide receivers don't help as well. So I think Keon Coleman we kind of crossing into that territory of him not just really being the number one guy. And I spoke about this last week. I felt like this was a time for the Bills to make a move for wide receiver one. And one of the guys that I spoke about was A.J. Brown. I still stand by that take. I believe in that take. And I do think that A.J. Brown would be a great number one for Josh Allen, in combination with what they got going on. Of course, he's not getting the targets that he likes in Philly. Josh Allen obviously needs a wide receiver to step up for the Bills' offense to be better than what it is right now. So I think that would be a great fit for both parties. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but Keon Coleman, I don't think is built to be a wide receiver one. And Josh Allen, as great as he is, he can only do so much uplifting as far as the wide receivers and the weapons that he has. Granted, he is capable. I'm not saying that he should not be playing better. He 100% should be playing better. But if I'm the Bills and I want the best out of my franchise quarterback, I want to surround him with the best as well. I'm not one of those guys who says, just because I have a franchise quarterback, okay, well, do what you do with what we got. No, like, give him the best of the best. You get what I'm saying? Like, the Eagles do it with Jalen Hurts. You look around Jalen Hurts, he has the best of the best when it comes to the weapons. The Bills should do that with Josh Allen as well. And I think they've been skating by over the last couple years as far as providing him with a true wide receiver one. So I want to speak on that because that has definitely been a conversation. And the whole offense needs to be better. It just can't be James Cook doing what he's doing in the backfield. Like, we know we're in a passive league now. Everybody has to be better. Josh has to be better. Keon Coleman has to be better. Khalil Shakir has to be better. Joshua Palmer has to be better. But when you say those names, those aren't names that really stand out as far as being, a real threat. As far as imposing a threat to cornerbacks and DBs as far as being a true wide receiver one. So I think the Bills definitely need to go ahead and make that move. So moving on to also some football news, not really news, but there was a comment made by Luke Kuechly that I wanted to play because this is a consistent theme that I spoke about in regards to my team. We're 3-3 now. We had a couple of wins back to back at home, one from a comeback with the Dolphins, great win, but ultimately I'm still not satisfied. And I think I've been a fan of this team since 1998, and I think crossing over into the 2020s, the Panthers have kind of took I wouldn't say joy, but my happiness even when they win games because it doesn't flow into a consistency of wins. So, like, yeah, granted, we're back at 500. I like to see us at 500, but I want to see us be consistent. I just want to contend. Like, I'm not the fan that wants to see we got to win a Super Bowl every year. We got to even be in the Super Bowl every year. I want to be in playoff contention. That's my expectations, and I don't think I'm wrong for asking for that. I don't think I'm wrong for asking for that at all. And a lot of the conversations, and it's no secret, I don't really get along with a lot of the Panther fan base. I just don't. Like, I'm a fan of the Bulls. I'm a fan of the Seminoles. I never really had no back and forth with those fan bases, but the Panther fans, we ultimately it's a couple of them that we cool, but ultimately overall I've never had good interaction with the Panthers fan base. But one of the consistent things I've been seeing about over the last couple of months and kind of the tail end of last year was Dave Canales has been getting a lot of blame that I don't feel like he deserves. I always felt like since last year he's called great plays. He knows how to call a game. Consistently he calls a good game. I'm always the guy, and I say this all the time. I give more credit to the players when we win, but I also give that same accountability to players when we lose because ultimately they're on the field. And at the NFL level, I kind of pull back the reins of accountability on the coaches because it's the best of the best. I feel like coaching is more of an impact on the college football level because they're not as talented as they are in the pros. At the pros, is the best of the best. A coach's job is to put the best players out on the field and put them in position to make the plays. If the coaches are putting the best players that they have at their disposal on the field and he's calling the plays, it's on the players to execute. It has to be to an egregious level where I'm like, it's not the players, it's the coach. Dave Canales consistently, in my opinion, has been calling a great game. I want to play this clip from Luke Kuechly speaking on how Canales knows on Canales play calling. Luke Kuechly.
Sitting next to him, we're watching the game. I watch him diagnose an offense so fast. Like, he recognizes certain formations and things, and he'll make hand gestures like he thinks a screen coming or he thinks it's going here. And you just see the robotic nature of how he played and what he looked at. And then last week against Miami, he took the headsets off and he said, Canales knows how to call plays. I said, what makes you say that? He goes, he said, Jake, he said, he's keeping me confused on a couple of things. He said, and it's working.
See, so, and excuse me, that's Jake Delhomme speaking about what Luke Kuechly told him. So that's Jake Delhomme speaking about what Luke Kuechly told him in terms of Dave Canales. Bro, I've been saying that. I've been saying Dave Canales knows how to call a game. We have to stop getting to a point where we are coddling the players when you don't see a play get executed properly. The first thing you want to do is blame the coach. What kind of play call? No. Players were open. Do I say that coaches always make the right plays? No. But 90% of the time, Dave Canales is calling some great plays, bro. One of them I even called out. It was a 2nd and 8 versus Dallas. I saw the wide receivers was kind of lined up a little bit inside than what they're supposed to be. I said, "Oh, this is a perfect time for a double move." Sure enough, it was a double move to Xavier Legette and T-Mac. It was a flag because Trevon Diggs was holding. You get what I'm saying? So Dave knows how to call plays. We just got to start holding players more accountable, man. Even I get on even with the defense. Now I feel like our defense, I put more accountability on the coach because I just don't like our scheme. I don't like our scheme at all. And you have Mike Jackson on George Pickens, got George Pickens out there like he primetime TO. That's on coaching. Bro, put J.C. Horn on George Pickens if you see a guy getting cooked up. But as far as Dave Canales in this offense, because our biggest Achilles heel with this team has been the offense, you have to start holding the players accountable. Dave knows what he's doing, bro. He knows what he's doing. You have to start holding Bryce Young accountable more than what you're doing. Granted, Rico Dow has been killing over the last couple weeks, but we cannot continue to just rely on him. This is the NFL at the end of the day. You're not going to be rushing for 150, 200 yards every week. They're also pros on the other side of the ball, too. They get paid, too. The coaches get paid, too. This is a passing league. There's going to be times, more times than not, when Bryce Young is going to have that 300-yard game. He's going to have to be making those throws on third down because the run game is just not clicking right now. That's why he was rung in from Tampa Bay. He established a balance within our offense. When he inherited the Buccaneers offense, they were a heavily pass offense. Heavily pass. He incorporated balance. So, yes, he wants to run the ball. If the run game is working, should we do it? Yes. But that's not always going to be the formula to success on a week-to-week basis. So Dave knows what he's doing. We just have to continue to hold the players accountable. We're not going to always be able to just lean on Chubb and recently, like I said, Rico Dow to take us to victory. You're going to have to be able to throw the ball in this league. That's how you are going to be successful. So I just wanted to speak on that because I'm like, oh, Luke Kuechly saying what I've been saying. Been saying it since last year. So thank you, Luke, for basically confirming what I've been saying, bro. So, moving on. NBA season is about to kick off, man. NBA season is here. It kicks off on Tuesday, actually. And I wanted to just go ahead and give a few predictions. I want to start off with my team, the Bulls. I don't really have high expectations for my Bulls, man. I really don't. I would like to see us get out of this consistent pool of us being in. See, again, consistency. See, common theme, consistency of just being in the fucking play-in. But I just think with the roster that we have, I just don't see a situation to where, we're gonna get over that hump. Like I really don't know what direction we're going as far as that, but. One of the bright spots on my Chicago's Bulls team is Mataz Buzelis. I love Mataz Buzelis. I think Mataz Buzelis will be a top 15 player within 2 years. 2 years. I mean, he has everything. He has a stature. He has great handle. He has great scoring ability. He can score from anywhere on the floor. He can create his own shot. As far as playmaking, he's good. He can be, a little bit better with his passing. He gives great effort defensively. But I think Mataz Buzelis has all the tools to be a real franchise player and one of the elite players in the league. I just love his game. He has a smooth game. And, of course, he knows – you can tell when he's on the floor, he has high IQ as well. He's not really making, certain mistakes that you might see from a raw, talented player. Like, he understands the game. So I have high expectations as far as Mataz Buzelis. I think, obviously, he'll be the best player on our team this year. Just looking at our starting five is looking like it's going to be Josh Giddey, Kobe White, Isaac Okoro, Mataz, and Nikola Vucevic. So, from a standpoint, I just don't see us, making no real noise in the East. I think we'll be a probably 8 to 10 team again. They would just have to surprise me. That's ultimately what it boils down to. Just looking at our bench, we got Trey Jones on the bench, Kevin Huerter, Ayo DeSumo, Patrick Williams, he still has to go. I don't understand how this motherfucker is still on an NBA team. He's on the bench making $90 million. Really thinking about that shit. Patrick Williams is on the bench getting $90 million. It must be nice, man. It must be nice. So, like I said, I don't really have too much high expectations for my Bulls, man. It's it's tough sledding against. It's tough sledding again. So I really don't know, and I don't know. But as far as the East and the West, as far as how it's gonna shape up. Excuse me. I think the best team, and then we just got some injuries that we have to like Tyrese Halliburton, he's out. Jason Tatum, he's out. So I think as far as the East, I think the number one team in the East will probably be the New York Knicks. I probably have the Cavaliers at 2. Number 3, I had the Orlando Magic. And number 4, I'll probably have just probably by default. The Pistons. I'll probably put the Pistons up there. I think the Pistons are on the rise. I think they will be a real good team. And then just to round out, I'll probably put the Bucks and the Hawks. And Boston are probably creeping at the age just off the strength of probably Jaylen Brown. People speak highly of Jaylen Brown. So I'm interested to see, how far he's taking them without Tatum this year. As far as the West, I think the Thunder, they're gonna go ahead and they'll be in the conference finals again. I got the Thunder coming in as the number 1 team in the West. Number 2, I can't count out the Minnesota Timberwolves. Each year, I think because everybody just we love Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, but the Minnesota Timberwolves have been in the conference finals back-to-back years. So I got the Thunder as the number 1 seed. Number 2, I would have the Minnesota Timberwolves. Number 3, I had the Denver Nuggets. Number 4, I'll probably have. Let me think about it. I'll probably have. I'm gonna say Houston Rockets. I like the way they ended the season. Of course, with the addition of KD. I want to say the Grizzlies, but I'm not big on them. They had some losses. They lost Desmond Bane. He went to the Magic. So I'm interested to see how John Morant is going to be off his injury. But I don't really have high expectations for the Grizzlies. The Lakers, I don't like their roster at all. I just don't. I think Luka Doncic will be playing to an MVP level this year. He's actually one of my MVP winners. But based off of how I think the Lakers are going to be as a team, I don't have him winning the MVP. Based off his play, I think he will be in the MVP conversation, but I don't think the Lakers will have enough wins. And I believe in order to be MVP, you have to be within the 1 to 4 range as far as ranking in your conference to be in the MVP conversation. But I don't think the Lakers will be in that 1 to 4 seed range. I think they'll be in the 5 to 8. And 5 is being nice. I just don't like their roster setup. I don't. LeBron James, he's not going to be starting the season. I don't like the addition of DeAndre Ayton. I think DeAndre Ayton hasn't changed. I think he's the same player. But as far as Luka, I think Luka is going to have a great year. I think Luka will average 32, 9, and 9. Kind of what he did a couple of years ago when he went to the finals with Dallas. And I think he's just going to be on a tear. I think he has something to prove. But if I had to pick an MVP, I'm going to go Joker. I'm going to go Joker. I think he'll be in the conversation again. I still think he's in his prime. I think he's going to have another historic season. If I had to round out the top 3, I would say my top 3 will be Joker, SGA, and Luka. But I would have Luka as the winner if the Lakers are within that 1 to 4 seed. So we just have to see how that plays out because, again, it's a lot of moving parts, and you just ultimately have to wait to see how everything is going to fall. Dallas Mavericks, I'm not really high on them neither. Kyrie Irving, he's out. Anthony Davis, he's going to be the best player on the team. But I don't think AD is even going to be able to play enough games in order for the Mavericks to be a real threat in the Western Conference. As far as my defensive player of the year, I'm going with Victor. Victor, he was on pace to win it last year before, of course, he had the blood clot situation. But I'm picking Victor to be my defensive player of the year. Coach of the year, that's kind of up in the air. You can't really predict coach of the year. My rookie of the year, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go Ace Bailey because I feel like Ace Bailey was the best player coming out of the draft last year. One of the best, excuse me, one of the best. I'm gonna pick Ace Bailey just because I really like this kid's upside, and I see the conversation surrounding him. You know, a lot of people feel like VJ, and shout out to VJ. A lot of people feel like VJ is better than him, but do I think he's going to win it? No. I think Cooper Flagg is going to win Rookie of the Year. But if I had to pick, I'm going to go Ace Bailey. I really like his upside. I think this guy really has superstar potential, and I really think he's going to kick down the door with the Jazz. And he's on the Jazz, so it's a lot of opportunity for him to get out there, ball, do his thing, display his high level of talent. So my pick for Rookie of the Year is Ace Bailey, but I think Cooper Flagg ultimately probably will end up winning in Dallas because he's also going to have a lot of opportunity with Kyrie Irving not starting out the season, you know, him and AD in that combination. So I'll be interested to see how that's going to play out as well. And let me look in let me see. Just looking at the Rookie of the Year predictions and let me look at the odds just to see what they got the lines at and everything like that. So I think Cooper Flagg's number 1 and Ace Bailey's number 2. Trey Johnson, Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe. Yeah. Also speaking about the Sixers, I just don't. The Sixers also. Joel Embiid is world class. He's all time. You know he's gonna do what he's supposed to do. But it's just not enough. I don't believe in Paul George. I don't think Paul George is gonna play a lot of games this year. Of course, I love Tyrese Maxey, but it's always the if. It's always the if when it comes to the Sixers over the last 2-3 years. If Joel is healthy, if Paul George is healthy, if this, if that. So I just don't see it. I don't see them sustaining the potential that people may have for them. So that's pretty much all I got as far as that. Moving on to some college football, some more upsetting college football. And you know who I'm going to speak about first. Get Miami the fuck up out of here. Them Hurricanes lost to Louisville at home. Carson Beck, I try to tell y'all, imaginary player, he is who he is. I don't give a fuck what he did against my nose. I don't give a damn. I'm going to take this opportunity to stomp on the niggas because I don't fuck. Of course, I'm a nose fan. I love to see the Hurricanes lose. Imaginary player, 4 interceptions, man. They couldn't stop Bill, the wide receiver from Louisville. He had 9 receptions, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. They running back ran for another 113. Hey. Big, and these niggas just became number 2 in the nation. Them niggas haven't been number 2 in the nation for at least over a decade, I believe, bro. So yeah, man, get Miami out of here. Get out. Glad to see them niggas lost. Ohio State handled business versus Wisconsin 34-0. Nothing needs to be said there. Indiana, great team. Looking like a great team. They're going to be on a crash course for the playoffs again this year. Handled business versus Michigan State 38-13. Texas A&M, got out in a squeaker versus Arkansas 45-42. Georgia handled business versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss was leading in that game. I watched that game. That was a great game. Georgia handled business 43-35. Alabama handled business at home versus Tennessee. That was another top 10 matchup. Oregon handled business versus Rutgers 56-10. Vandy and LSU, great game. Hey, that quarterback, David Pavia, hey, my dog hit the little Heisman pose. Now, I will say the Heisman race this year is kind of been one of the worst Heisman races I've seen in my lifetime. I'm not even going to lie. No disrespect but there's no standouts for real. This year has been one of the low years as far as a Heisman standout. So when I see David Pavia hitting the Heisman pose from Vanderbilt, you know it's kind of like a low year. Again, no disrespect to the dog, but I'm just being real. The Heisman race this year has kind of been one of the weakest Heisman races I've seen 6-7 weeks into a season so far. So I don't know if it's going to pick up on the back end, but the Heisman race is kind of looking like, I don't know, bro. I don't know. It's going to have to pick up some steam on this back end because ain't nobody standing out for real. Like, it's really nobody standing out. Georgia Tech handled business versus Duke 27-18. Notre Dame versus USC. Notre Dame handled business 34-24. I still don't believe in them niggas. I still believe they're the ultimate imaginary player next to Oregon. Any other top 10 matchups from this week? Utah, BYU. BYU beat Utah 24-21. That was a close game. Texas squeaked out versus Kentucky 16-13. The niggas just continue to get by, man. Them niggas are just continuing to get by. I know the top 10. I mean, the top 25 is definitely going to get shook up this week because of the losses that took. Miami definitely going to move down. I think Indiana is going to move up to the number 2 spot. Who else might move up? Alabama's probably going to move up to the 4 or 3 spot. And who else? Georgia, they might move up. And who else can I see moving up? Probably Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt might jump up into the top 10, if not at the lowest, probably 11, because Tennessee lost, so they'll probably move down. So I'm interested to see how that might go as well. These pop-ups just killing me, bruh. Just blocking all my shit. Texas A&M, they're still undefeated, so they might move up as well. Ole Miss, they lost, so they might move down. So I'll be interested to see how this shakes up, man. I'll be interested to see how this shakes up. So yeah, man, that's pretty much all I got for this week, man. That's pretty much all I got for this week. Again, I want to thank y'all for tapping in with me, checking in with me. Continue to please be safe out here. Please be safe out here. Continue to chase those goals. Be consistent. Be consistent in chasing your goals, chasing your dreams. Put in that work. Don't worry about the performance of things. Just go out here and show up every single fucking day. Again, R.I.P. to D'Angelo. Legend in the R&B world and black music, period. So R.I.P. to D'Angelo. Condolences to his family. Get your ass in that gym. Always get your ass in that gym. And ultimately, please be safe. So like I say every week, man, this is I'm Not Repeating Myself podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and I hope you heard what I said the first time because I'm not repeating myself. I'm out.